Okay, well, today we're going to talk about something I was talking about in some Facebook groups today, and it always seems that when I talk about Facebook groups, the subject of where do I find groups for my clients or where my potential clients are at, that question always comes up probably every couple of days at least, if not every day sometimes. So I thought it would be a really helpful topic to have here today. So especially if your audience is not entrepreneurs. I have clients like that and even people in my group that I'm just helping out and talking to who they'd always tell me, it seems like every group on Facebook is for entrepreneurs. It seems like I can't get away from the entrepreneur groups. And although that is partially true, there are a ton of entrepreneur groups out there, especially on Facebook. It's not entirely true. And the reason it seems that way is because we're entrepreneurs. It is a very popular space for communities of entrepreneurs, and that causes us to just be drawn to those and see those. I mean, it's not like typically if you're an entrepreneur, you're spending a lot of your time learning about entrepreneurship, let's be honest. So that's partially why. But I promise you that I have helped a lot of people find really good groups that are not entrepreneur based, or kind of change it so that those groups that you think aren't where your audience is actually is where your audience is. So we'll talk about that. Oh, thank you. I love you too for being here. Mallory, awesome. Okay, so there is 3 main tips and 1 bonus tip I'll give you. So the first tip is to ask. So if you're in entrepreneur groups, 1, it's totally okay to ask for advice, right? That's what they're for. And if you can just go in and say, hey, does anyone know any good groups for me? Here's some things I'm looking for in a group. And let's say you're in, health and wellness. Maybe you can ask for some groups where a lot of people are talking about that, or it seems like that might be needed. Just say, does anyone know groups about this? And sometimes you can look for groups that are really specific, not so specific, have a certain vibe to them. So for me, as my business grows, I always start seeing these, like every single time, I always start seeing these new similarities amongst my followers and my clients. And so I look for groups that have that kind of vibe that I'm noticing these people interested in me have. And sometimes oftentimes, especially right now, I'm noticing it's not exactly the vibe I would put for myself or what I thought I was representing. And this isn't a bad thing. It's just you start noticing these trends, so look for groups that have that as well. But just ask. That's number 1. And if you even know anybody like me, ask me. You can message me on Facebook and ask me if I know a ton of groups. And I help people find groups so I can possibly suggest some for you. But, ask. If you know somebody who's big in Facebook, ask them. If you have a group where you feel really comfortable reaching for support, ask. Number 2 is super, super obvious, but nobody really seems to be doing it. And that's using the search bar and searching for groups. And we forget that this is it's an option, because I'll tell people, well, have you searched? And they're like, what do you mean search? You can search? And it's like, yeah, you can. But it's so funny. I just noticed people don't do it. And so that's why I always share this one. So if it seems really obvious to you, I'm sorry, but you can search a couple different ways. So by searching groups about blank, whatever the topic is, groups about health, groups about entrepreneurs, groups about finances, groups about beauty, groups about spirituality, groups about relationships, and get more specific too. Like people who I know who are in the relationship coach realm, it's often a very certain type of relationship or a little bit more in depth than that, so you can add more details too. Another thing is that you can search groups of blank. So let's say we're friends on Facebook and you want to figure out what groups I'm in because I'm your ideal client. You can actually search groups of Taylor Manning and see all of the closed groups that I'm in and join them and check them out. I do that when I become friends with my clients on Facebook. I do it almost every time. And the ones at the top, I don't know this for sure, but there's always like these 2 highlighted ones, and I'm assuming those are their favorites or like their most used. I'm not 100% sure, but that's how I kind of consider it. So I like to look at that. I should probably research that. But anyway, it's cool to see what groups they're in and see if there's any that you're missing. That might be the perfect fit. And that'll really help because let's say, even for me, my audience is women entrepreneurs. However, every woman entrepreneur is not the perfect fit to work with me. And I have a more in-depth, obviously, ideal audience than that, but Broadly, it's women entrepreneurs. But by looking at those groups my clients are in, or even the people in my group, when they add me, or anyone I know who maybe has been a potential client or interested, I check out their groups. So check that out. I don't know. Let me know if any of you guys have tried that. Like, was that a duh, Taylor, or was that a, oh, Taylor? Let me know. And then number 3 is ask again. So go into these groups where you think, and this is where we kind of twist, where maybe the groups you think your audience actually isn't in, to see if they actually are. So ask in those groups and say, are you, never heard of checking clients groups? Yeah, I mean, if they're your friend on Facebook, and a lot of us might not add our clients, but sometimes my clients add me. So I kind of take advantage of it that way. But yeah, and even, I don't know, a lot of us are starting to notice that we get more friend requests, so even using those to our advantage. You can also look up groups of followers of Taylor Manning, and that would show you people who follow me, my business page. It would show you like the most popular groups of them. So, you know, if you were kind of wanting my audience, you could kind of look that way. That's another one. So let's say you are in relationship coaching and you are like, well, my audience isn't necessarily entrepreneurs. Well, that doesn't mean that you should kick them all to the curb, right? Especially if you already have them at your fingertips per se. So go in these groups and, I mean, let's say you help people, I don't know if I should use this example, but let's say you help people get out of a bad relationship. So you can literally go in these groups and say, hey, I'm just wondering how many of you are entrepreneurs that are also struggling with getting out of a rough relationship or an abusive relationship or something like that. And although that's a little personal, I could have probably given you a better example, but even just asking that, especially in those more personal and close knit groups, will help you see if actually your potential audience is there. Because a lot of things like life coaching, relationship coaching, people who are in kind of the spiritual type of stuff, health, fitness, beauty, I mean, entrepreneurs need that too. And I mean, you can kind of, and this will be in the bonus tip, but you can kind of use a different audience to be your audience because a lot of the times it overlaps. And just by asking, you'll see. And what's funny is that I've noticed with my clients who use entrepreneur groups for those kind of coaching, to advertise that or promote that, that when they ask, there's certain groups where it's like a commonality, like everybody's dealing with that same thing, or everybody's a mompreneur who can't lose the weight, or whatever. You know what I mean? And it's kind of funny because I think, although all these groups are about entrepreneurship, some of them attract other things too in the people that are members. I've just noticed that. So that's why asking that can really open your eyes. Yeah. There you go. Take a screenshot. I love it. That was so smart. I need to steal that idea. I loved that. That was sneaky. Okay, so bonus tip. You do not and you shouldn't look for groups that are for you. You should be looking for groups that are for your clients. Now, you can use the groups that are for you, and I'll give you an example for asking questions and collaborating and things like that. But when it comes to promoting yourself and sharing that content and getting visible, looking for groups for your clients, not you. So for example, I would not necessarily probably spend a lot of my time in a group for social media managers or social media strategists or marketing strategists or coaches. I would, maybe coaches, but I would spend a lot of my time in groups just a little bit broader for just entrepreneurs. I mean, that's how it works for me, but I had a better example here written up. So if you talk about nutrition, the best groups for you may not be about nutrition. They may be for busy entrepreneurs or busy moms with multiple kids, or I shouldn't say multiple kids because moms are busy even with one kid, or like busy corporate women. I mean, a lot of the things that go with health and fitness I see are busy. Busy people are usually lacking on that. So, and the reason being is because let's say you are in nutrition and you help people with their what they eat. And you go into a group all about nutrition and all about this certain diet. Let's say you're a plant-based diet nutritionist, and you go into a group for plant-based diet. Now, you'll probably get some good visibility, but it's going to be so overloaded with that. You know what I mean? Like, that's all everyone's going to be talking about. So it's not a bad group, But you never know, and I have seen this happen again and again. You actually might get better results going into a group for moms or entrepreneurs or whatever, and saying, hey, is anyone in here interested in exploring the plant-based diet? I'm just kind of feeling it out if that's a popular thing here. Just asking a question like that. And it sounds a little silly, but I promise it can do a lot for you. Thank you for the hearts and welcome. Yeah, those are my tips, guys. I really hope they helped. I saw that you were taking a little bit of notes. I love that little trick. I hope that helped. I see that a lot. I mean, I'm not in that industry, so I don't know if that was the best way to word it, but I see a lot of people saying, you know, if you're a busy entrepreneur, is your health lacking? Or if you're a busy mom, is your health lacking? If you're a busy, you know what I mean? Like, I think busy is an excuse we use a lot for everything. You know what I mean? Like, anything we're lacking, it's usually because we're busy with other things. So I think that's why it comes up for me. I mean, I'm too busy to eat healthy. Just kidding. What do you mean about asking if your niche info is welcome in a group? If you want to tell me what your niche is or what you do, it might help a little bit more. But like my example of plant-based diet nutritionist, if they go into a group where, let's say an entrepreneur group, but the entrepreneur group kind of has a vibe where people are also talking about their life a little bit. I mean, you don't want to go in a group like Smart Passive Income where everyone's talking about techie things and ask something about nutrition. I mean, maybe, but if it seems a little bit more laid back, you can just ask and say, hey, is anybody here practicing plant-based diet? Or has anybody here thought about exploring plant-based diet as a entrepreneur? It has all these health benefits. I mean, and just sharing something like that and mixing the topics. So burnout breakthrough for high-achieving women is my niche. Oh, well, that's totally different. But, I mean, high-achieving women, I mean entrepreneurs or corporate, you would look for groups with one of those or both. I don't know if you focus on one or the other, but that could work in any of those groups. Yeah, it's just asking questions. I mean, a lot of people don't want to do it, but when they do, it actually opens their eyes a lot to what's going on in the group. You're welcome, Jessica. And I mean, even I do it. Like, I'll go into groups and say, let's say I'm not really, a lot of times I get really inspired about the topics I want to cover, but let's say I'm not feeling inspired. I'll just go in groups and say, hey, what are you struggling with the most in your business? And that's it. Or what are you struggling the most in your marketing? Things like that. What are you struggling the most with your email marketing? Asking questions like that, it's kind of like a poll, and it gives you really good post ideas. It starts conversations because a lot of people will go to that. I mean, they kind of assume you focus on that if you're asking that. Have a good day. And they'll go farther into it. They'll ask questions, things like that. I feel such a nerd. I have game notifications on my phone. I just got addicted to a game. All right, guys, well, I gotta go, but that was really great chatting. I hope that helped. If you need any more help with this subject, finding Facebook groups, finding your audience online, just find me on Facebook, Taylor Manning, and message me for some help. If you want to connect further, though, you can join my Facebook group, which is growing like crazy. The Creative Corner with Taylor Manning. Almost 1,400 members. I'm so excited. And you can join that. You can join that by going to taylormanningcreative.com/community to sign up to get the email with the link if you can't find it, or just search for Creative Corner. It should come up. But I'll talk to you guys soon. I hope to see you there. Thank you for being here, and reach out if you need anything. Bye.